Yeah, you asked me about something.
Yeah, this guy Mati,
Rabbi Azar left.
yeah, Rabbi Azar left. Oh, your little
okay,
brother is here.
King
Your little brother is there.
Zalman.
Yeah, I had a share yesterday morning.
Yeah, he came. That's right.
The signal must
Gotta
have
get
got
married.
down.
No matter
Once
mine is,
I'm
he has
just
to get
at
married.
15 in the morning, 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
I don't sleep it out at 9 o'clock. No, that can change because every mile is usually like other. Like what? What's the Fridays, Friday, Sunday, only. And when is that? Sunday. The 7th of, they change, the name of Margaret said once he spends 2 CEAs.
Okay. Rabbi Isai Simon Shin Yutes,
What page,
page Tov Kuf Mem Gimel. Tov Kuf Mem Gimel. Siftas. Tov Kuf Mem Gimel. Ein Moile Melilis Kedarkon Befoil and Lashavshiv Shibolim Bekapis Yodov Chiyipel Hazera Mehan. Someone wants to take wheat, kernels of wheat, and he wants to. The way they would take it off would be take it off from the shaft, be to rub it in the hands, and the shaft would fall. The seeds would fall down. The sheyipel hazera mehan. That would be an issue of mefarik. El amoyel b'shinoi ma'at v'rashabet b'esav. You should do it with a shinoi. We should do it with the tips of your fingers, like this. Even though with your own hands you're taking out the kernels from the shaft. Mefarek biyad hu toilus hadash bekli shechsafti v'simin shinhei. There's another malacha in the Minatayra, the Lamitus malacha, besides for Beider, it's malacha of dash. You're now to thresh something and remove something from its place where it was. And they would do it with a keli.
Both things are good, which, when you need them.
Hmm?
Both things. Let's see if you burn this and both things, whatever comes out, just gets divided. You use both things for different things. That's acceptable.
So it's a good question. So here it's talking about that one is psilus. One is psilus. And it's not a shaila over here, a Beider, but it's a shaila because you're not really picking out one from another. You'll be rubbing your hands. You're rubbing your hands. It's a mashayla mefarik, which is a different malacha. That when you take something out of its concealed place, it's considered being mefarik, something from its concealed place. For example, on Shabbos, you're not allowed to milk cow. It's also considered mefarik, taking the milk out from this packet, which is in the concealed spot.
You're not letting milk, if somebody owns a cow, they're not letting milk from shop.
They themselves aren't allowed. There's a discussion how to do it and if there's any way to do it because if they are in pain, how to do it.
So they have all automatically. Shabbos automatically have it. All the kibbutzim in Eretz Yisrael, I went there, I saw.
So, but they hook up these things.
Everything is automatic. Human don't have to touch. Gosh.
It just goes in. When it feels that it's full, it goes into some spot and it's able to, they know how to do it themselves, right?
No, there's a certain time with the car to go up. And then there's like a suction cup. 4 of them, that a robot take it and put underneath, and it starts sucking. And you go to a big place, and all done with pumps and everything, but it's automatically, you don't have to touch.
So this is a different malach over here. You're not separating, you're not taking one from the other. You're taking them, you're rubbing them. That's mefarik, which is a total of dash. A different malacha. And that's a problem so on Shabbos. So therefore you have to take it out with a shinui. What's a shinui? You take it out with the tip of your fingers to go like this. Take off the shaft, off the kernel. So that's not considered the regular way to do it, because that's not the way you're going to produce a lot. When you don't do one at a time. You do a whole bunch. You do the tip of your fingers like this. That's considered a shinui, and that you're allowed to do. Since you're doing it with a shinui, you're not doing it the regular way. You're doing it to eat right away. Mutter, it's mutter.
Which page you are?
Page Tov Puf Mem Gimel. Siftas. Now, he says further, why didn't they make a gzeir on this? Why did Chacham make a gzeir on this? Yes, it's klachayad, but we know that you're not allowed to do anything klachayad. For example, Shabbos, you're not allowed to carry in a shasarabah. What happens if I carry it in an abnormal way? I put it in my elbow. I do it in an abnormal way. Shaloi kedarki. It's pater, aval aser. With the rabbanon, it's aser. Gzeira that maybe you'll do it in the regular way. Over here, they didn't make any gzeira. Instead, if you're doing a klach, you're doing with the shinui, it's okay. How come they didn't make a gzeira? It says lo yigazu mishum shem yimel kedarke, v'nei sha'af hamoilo kedarke eine ela mefarek klach hayad.
What would you be doing?
V'she'ene noite eichel mefarke b'yodei mamish, v'shamoilo hashibailes v'hadoge noifel. Ein derech lasis kein fi hamiyuchid l'disha.
Why are you doing this on Shabbos?
You want to eat it?
You want to eat it? That means like seeds and things, seeds that people eat.
It's like papitas?
It's a botnim, you know what they call when you make the peanut butter. Like there's like the shell.
Right.
Also, you mefarek the shell from the.
Oh.
So it's not so pasha that every shell is a problem.
Like
Mefarik.
egg, you're allowed to. How for egg, you're allowed.
We're going to see soon that it's not every type of shell. So Shaila, it's not so clear as to which shell is exactly is the problematic shell. The reasons why, exactly where do we draw the line? Because sometimes it's 3 shells to some of these nuts. They have like an outer green one, the inner hard one, and then they have a soft, thin like paper surrounding it, like you have in the peanuts and things. So mefarik
It's called pistukim. What do you call pistukim in English?
here, pistachios we have here.
Right. So, again, it's the hard.
I don't know how it is in this when it's on the plant. Like how's it growing? You know.
That's how they come.
I'm saying, but is there anything on top of this?
No, but inside is another one that the small
All
one.
right. Yeah.
We don't eat it on Shabbos. Other people do. We don't.
All right. So if there were a problem with farik, you wouldn't be allowed. Well, if you do it like this with your fingertips, it's not a problem.
But we don't do it. Chabad don't do this.
All right. Mitzad Zehirus.
Right.
Now, Alter Rebbe explains over here that even when you do with your hands and the seed falls down, that's also not really farik min haTorah. It's also called klach hayad. Why? Because he said that normal dash is done with a keli. You do it with a threshing. They do it with a special keli that the behema schleps this keli on top of the kernels and separates the the shaft,
The shaft is go by
the kernel. Then they blow it off. But first they have to.
take it off.
But first they have to separate it,
Right.
so that it shouldn't be attached anymore together. So that really that's done with a keli. So even when you do it like this, it's already not min haTorah. Vein derech lasakein al v'kli amiyuchal l'disha. Sha'afa became also midivrei soifrim va'yidei shinoi lo yigazru.
Because it's a shino and it's not a kli, you don't choice it. Maybe I'm gonna go take.
So basically, there's two shinas happening. There is the first shina is that even if you would do it with your hands, and you would go like this, rub, and the pieces would separate, that's already considered shina because normally it's done with a keli. Real dash is with a keli. But you, in this case, you're doing another step. You're not even doing that. You're going like this. You're taking and putting in your fingertips. You're opening up one by one, opening up each piece.
It's not just
This is you're doing another shinoi. Even though we're doing with your hands, it's also midrabanon. Two klis midiraisa. Through your hands, also midrabanon. Over here, I'm doing with another shinoi. I'm doing it with Rashi. It's ba'isov. Aidei shinoi loy gazu chazal not gazu. V'yesh machmirin. Some are machmir. She'lim loy kalal. Shibalim shaltua. One should not at all be moilel
wheat.
Should be moilel wheat to remove the kernels of wheat. Chen shavit and shakidnis for beans. Afilu feroshes ba'is even with the tips of your fingers. L'chein also lefarik egoizim luzim egoizim gedolim walnuts and other nuts. V'toich klipasan ha'yoyna hayiruka. Shal gabe haklipa kashava. Afilu b'rashes ba'is. You're not allowed to remove the green shell, which is covers over the hard, thick shell of the nuts. It's not, we don't see this when it comes to the store. There's another layer on top of it. This shita holds you shouldn't even do that. This shita is more machmer, and it's saying that even going like this, you should not do it. And better to be machmer, since you could break it open, you can smash it and break it open without pulling it off like this, without being emphatic. You crack it and it falls, it breaks all apart.
We don't do it in shells.
We don't have this shell that comes to us. It's not in the stores.
A green part edible?
No,
not edible. Okay.
Like the shells are not edible.
Actually, when it's about to be ready, it's fall by itself.
Are we permitted to cut it off with a knife? Like to slice it? As opposed to pulling it off? Is that allowed halachically? Because it's not a separation. You're slicing it.
A good question. The slicing it might not be a problem. It's like al derech l'shabram. You give it a cut, and it falls apart by itself. But the Maisa, it's not our Kulipa Pasha of is not a problem. The only discussion is about the green one on top. You're allowed to peel off the thin shell that we have on the inside of the pistachios or on the inside of the peanuts. The thin paper-like shell covering the nut.
Rabbi,
You've seen that? You've seen it?
yeah, that's what he's talking about. He's
You
talking
have it in your backyard? That's what. So I was saying we don't see this in our stores.
You take the fall to the ground.
So the green one, according to some shittas, that's a problem to open up the green one on Shabbos with a mefarik. With some shittas, but not the klipa kasha.
Oh,
and not the klipa daka.
Oh, so
Ein isim mefarich shaykel
would
b'klipa
be
yoyna.
to peel it before Shabbos.
Yeah, that green part.
Yeah, because if we peel the nuts before the Shabbos and deshell it before Shabbos, we don't have an issue of borer on Shabbos. No?
not boy, מפרק.
Mifarek. Yeah.
מפרק is
Yeah, not a problem if you do it.
Yeah. So
V'chein mutter likleif tevua umini kitnius. Shenuma shivalam hashitim at Shabbos. You're allowed to peel the wheat and the kitnius that were opened up at Shabbos. Meaning they happen from that soft chaff on top of it. You have to still remember the shaila boider. So when you're taking off the shaft, that little soft covering, that's okay, but it's still in a boider. You have to do it samach to the sutta. There's two shilas going on. This simon talks about boider, but over here we have a sift. Sift test is the sift over here, which brings up also that there sometimes are issues of mephatic when you're opening up various nuts. There's a different malacha, a mephatic, which is a tilde of dash, and dash is one of the lamed test malachas.
however, Rabbi, as I was starting to say, if we do all this stuff, the removing of the shell, the separation, everything is done before Shabbos, we don't have this issue.
No problems if you do it, right?
Although with borer, it could be sometimes an issue when you're dealing with a salad or chulent, the separation, right?
Now, a little further. It's a long sif. What happens if you have these beans? They come in these, what are they called?
The way it grows,
They grow like in these packets, like on the stick. What? Shrubs. You're not allowed to take the kitnius outside of it. The arbis would be a daim. Kizel mafarik gomer. This is considered mamish mafarik to pull it out from these packets that it's inside.
Beans.
Pod.
Yes.
Beans
Pod.
go like a banana.
Yes.
And you open it and you take the inside.
Yeah.
The earlier pasuk already say the Magen Avraham brings that he sees that the oilam is naik heter. They will come and open this up on Shabbos. What's the heter of this? V'yesh shalomdu aleihem schus. Some or malamet schus on them. This comes from the Magen Avraham. Kiven she'oidan lachin. V'af asher vitin ru'in lachila. Einay ela kemafet oichel me'oichel ve'ein bazeh mishum mefarik. Some people malamet, some poskim or malamet schus, that since these pods were themselves right to eat, you're able to eat it. So, therefore, you're just separating food from food, oichel from oichel. Now, in Siman Shin Hey, the Alter Rebbe digresses to explain that the whole idea of mefarik is only when you're taking out from something which is not edible, psoilus. The oichel from the psoilus. But you take oichel from oichel is not a problem. I'll give you another example. There's two cases where mefarik is shaykh. You take oichel from psoilus, or you take liquid out of oichel. There's two different things, two different forms. You see oichel and mashke. You squeeze, let's say, grapes. Mefarik on Shabbos. You mefarik squeezing the grapes. Skita. Skita is also mishum mefarik on Shabbos.
It's not allowed on Shabbos.
Right. Skita of grapes and olives as a problem.
By the way, Rabbi, one time I went to a bar mitzvah last summer, and the caterer hired some non-Jewish workers, and they said that they squeezed the freshly squeezed orange juice on Shabbos morning.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Caterer didn't know the name of skita. A big problem.
Yeah.
It's also to drink from it.
Yeah.
Now you have to decide if you're going to make an announcement that people are going to listen to you or not. Or they say mitash you again. What are the klalim? Should you say something about it? But you definitely should not. Whoever knows the halacha, should not drink from that juice.
What did they squeeze?
Orange juice.
Maybe it's Rabban.
You have to be meicha. So the issue of mafarik, however, one of the dinim is if you squeeze into food, like into a salad, for example, or squeeze a lemon, or squeeze onto your salmon. Some people like to squeeze to their fish some lemon. It's not a problem because it's oichel. Since that mashke is gonna become part of an oichel, going to join to give taste to an oichel.
Yeah.
We don't give that halachic status of a mashke to the mashke. We consider it a oichel, even though physically it's a mashke. Halachically, we view it as a oichel. Taking an oichel from an oichel is not mafarik. There's no problem being soichet lemon into salad or into fish because it's oichel. It gets a status of oichel. So kilu the mashke, the lemon juice, it's kilu taking out oichel from the lemons.
Question.
So once it's oichel is not a problem. Alter Rebbe says over here, he brings from the Magen Avraham and other poskim that if these pods you can eat, and you're pulling out the beans from the pod.
Both of them you could eat.
So both of them you could eat. It's oichel. It's fresh. It's fresh. It's green. You could eat it. Some people eat string beans, right?
Yeah.
People eat the pod. So sometimes you can eat the pod. So that's the oilam is the limut schus the oilam geheter. Avomini kitniish third line top of the page tafkuf mem dalim. Avomini kitniish she'ein ashabitin oilachila. If those types of beans that the pods are not right to eat, ain't heter klal lohoitzi a kitnis metoichem Shabbos. No heter to take it out because it's a mefarik. We're not talking about butter here. There's no butter. If you do something samach to the suda, you're allowed to peel a banana, an egg, an orange samach to the suda. There's no butter. This is a different problem of farik. Again, we're dealing with a siman of butter, but these dinim and Shulchan Aruch are mainly associated with mefarik. Elim kain hakitni ein hakitni is mechubaris klal b'shavitin shekranitko mehem ev Shabbos el shimenachas kach b'tayichem azay mut loitzim mehem kol ma sheroitz lechem el alter. The Taz comes up and says this whole problem of pulling out from the pods when it's not roi lachila is only when the beans are attached inside. But if already at a Shabbos you've separated it, so even though it's still inside, but it's not anymore fat because it's detached. However, you still have to remember this dinim abayra. So you have to do this. You're taking it out. You have to do it samach to the suda. Lechal alta mishum iser breira, not because of a fight. That's how the Taz understand it. I want to just tell you something. I always say on this sif in Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, the Alter Rebbe in his siddur changed his mind in a few dinim that he wrote over here in the siddur, and just namely two of the dinim that he changed his mind were. But that's not going to get this sif. That's true, but that's later. But to get this sif. Number one, the Magen Avraham said, and other poskim brought a limut schus on the miniga oilam that they would eat from the pod on Shabbos, seeming mafarek, said it's roi lachila. So the Alter Rebbe says over there, you should not rely on this miniga oilam. Better not to. He doesn't say it's usher. He says that the limut schus is not a tam maspik. It's not such a strong limut schus, and he cautions not to rely on this heter, even though the oilam was naig lahakol, but not to rely to remove things from the pots. Now, Shilas, why did he say? What's the problem? Seems like the Magen Avraham and the Pasuk came up with a nice limut schus for the oilam. If they're both edible. You're mafrid oichel ma'oichel. There's no mafarik when you're taking oichel ma'oichel. Just like you're allowed to squeeze a lemon. So if the sharvit it's only a problem in two cases, mafarik. If it's oichel from soilus, or it's mashke from oichel. Over here, we're not dealing with a mashke, but it's seemingly psoilus, the pod. But since the pod is royal achil, it's not psoilus. So what's wrong with the svara?
The person's doing it. Let's say you only have people doing it. So
some people maybe don't eat it. Maybe that's the svara. And at Chaim Noah and Seisel Shulchan says that maybe the svara is because these pods, if they stick around a little bit, they harden. So they only when you eat them early on, they're fresh, then they're soft, they're right lachila, but they become quickly psoilus. So therefore, it's a shaila. If this is taka, you machshavit as oichel to psoilus. That's his understanding. There's no rayel there, but his svara maybe why the Alter Rebbe cautioned later toiv to not do this. The other point that we said over here, the Taz at Paskin and Alter Rebbe held that way, that if the kidneys were no longer attached, the beans are no longer attached inside the pod out of Shabbos, and you're allowed to remove them on Shabbos, even if the pod is not royal achila. Right? Because sometimes the place where these seeds or beans are sitting in is not royal achila, something which you're going to throw away. So the Taz said if it was detached out of Shabbos, you can remove them out of their the hiding spot, the pocket. The nartik. That's how you pass in the Shulchan Aruch. But in the Siddur, he said that's usher. He was strong about that. Whether it's attached, whether it's not attached, it's also to pull out on Shabbos. He was machmer over the Taz. It could be he's going like the Prima Godim. Prima Godim has some. Seems like it's a different mahalach. The way I understand it is that the Alter Rebbe came to a conclusion in the Siddur that the Isser Mefarik is not whether it's attached or detached, like the Taz understood, and like he himself understood. He changed and he understood that Mefarik is taking something out from a Mokim Mechusa, from Kisuyev, from its place where it's concealed, even though you detached it out of Shabbos, as long as it's still inside, and you're taking it out, you're Mefarik it from that Mokim Sheneskasabai. So this seems to be also the Prima Godin's Mahalach.
Why couldn't you eat it?
It's not a way to eat it. No, it's not a way to
So that's a good question. The mice is this. I started saying before. It's not clear the svaris, but we only say mefarik on the shell.
Would be the same thing.
That green part, the outer part, which is threshing, is done with it. Maybe to make it easier, we could say like this: whatever was normally done, the malacha of dash, what they would do in the barn, in the farm, they would thresh. The nuts were always sent to the houses and sold. They were sold in the market with their hard clip on it.
Not with the green one. Not the green one.
So the dash is what the malacha of dash is what was done in the field. What was done, that was the malacha of dash. Things that you do at home, that you would open up the thing, that's just a shomer on it. That's not considered mefarik. It's not so clear. You know, the Tzemach Tzedek discusses a little bit like why by the nuts. Why is that the Prima Godim says that why is taka the soft? He discussed the soft part inside the pistachio and the peanuts. You have always a soft. And also on the kernels, you have a soft shell on it. Why is that not mefarik? So the Prima Godim says maybe some of them maybe you could eat. So he says that it's bottle for the whole wheat. Now what's whole wheat? That's with that also, right? The Prima Godim says by the nuts that that's maybe the word is because it's bottle, because it's so thin and rach, it's bottle to the nuts. The big one is, but the big one he doesn't discuss. So Motzedek says that the nuts sitting inside the hard shell, they're not in a packet there. You could shake it around, hear it moving it around, and it's like in a box. Someone took something out of a box on Shabbos. You say he's mefarik. So if it's movable inside, he says, if you hear it shake, you hear it shaking around in there. So Mali Zen, if it's in a cup and I pull out of a cup, I'm going to say, oh, mefarik, taking out something from what. So when is it mefarik? When it's like it's mamish, either attached, he says, or it's very close to it, very tight. The hasbara is not so clear in all the poskim. The hasbara is not clear, but what is clear is that the outer green clipper that was in your backyard, that's mefarik, and the other two shells are not mefarik. So you have a lot of these nuts have 3 shells to it. It's only that outer one, which is shaykh the din mefarik.
And then inside the goat.
Other ones you have boiler. The other ones you have boiler. that you have to take them off samach to the suda. But that's not matzad mefarik, so the iser boiler.
But I have a question. Before you said there is a case where we could squeeze a shell, like we could squeeze grapes onto food, or we could squeeze Can we squeeze olives onto food to make oil?
Olives onto a salad.
Onto salad?
Yeah.
You could actually squeeze the olives
Yeah.
onto a salad.
Yeah.
You can eat it
Yeah.
Plain. You can have a plain.
Very.
You can't do that on Shabbos, but we could do that into a salad or onto a piece of bread,
Yeah.
as long as it's onto something.
Onto something on
Eh,
food.
eh,
There's a discussion if you
it's-
could play a shtick. Someone stick
a
at the
cup, you can't
discussion
do it.
that someone wanted to say that if I want to squeeze lemon into my tea, what should I do? You can't squeeze it into a liquid. The problem, because it's only then you're being mafred mashke from oichel, soich mashke oichel. So he said he discusses what happened. Someone had said that maybe I could squeeze onto the sugar, because oichel, and then to put the sugar inside the. So he's mefakfik that whether the heter works. He said I think tzarachi and gali. He's not. He doesn't ganze shoylet, but he's mefakfik that the whole kavana is to get into the liquid. That is harama. He's mefakfik that this should work.
Interesting.
But this is
So what the halacha is, you can't squeeze lemon into a liquid, like
right.
because I
What
see
you could do is you could put a lemon into the tea
lemon into the tea.
or on the
So that
side,
that's the way around it.
like they
because-
used to serve. I don't think they serve it anymore. They used to serve
My wife likes that
diet
tea.
Coca-Cola with
Yeah,
a lemon.
Rabbi, my wife likes to have tea, and I'll explain to her that on Shabbos, instead of squeezing the lemon into the tea, put the piece of lemon inside of the tea, so there's no squeezing. Right? Isn't that a good solution?
Yeah, or you could take if you have lemon juice in your fridge already, you can use lemon juice already squeezed for you.
Yeah,
Some people like to have fresh
lemon is much better.
Right, it's definitely better, but today you can buy everything in the store. We don't need to do anything. Everything is made.
Yeah.
We're not meant to work too hard. Everything is squeezed for us.
Yeah.
And,
Banana,
just-
watermelon,
Yeah.
cantaloupe, all those things.
That's very interesting. I never knew that you could actually squeeze the olives onto the salad as long as it's onto something. We're not allowed to squeeze it into a cup. It's
Correct.
got to be onto food.
You can squeeze it in a cup and then pour the cup.
We also can't
Then
squeeze
pour
it
even if
into
you're
liquid.
pouring into the cup, I'm a nas to pour it into the salad.
We as you mentioned before, we can't squeeze it into a liquid. Like, well, let's say we wanted to make our drink more tasty. We can't take a lemon and squeeze it in there.
No.
Or could you take a piece of lemon and put it in the tea?
Yeah.
That's okay.
You want to put it on the cup or put it in the tea, not a problem.
We can't squeeze it into a. We're talking about liquid. Yeah.
And later on, when you finish, you take out the lemon and eat it. So it's food. It's food.
I wanted to just say one thing that's important to know from the Siddur. That the Rebbe held in the Siddur that nuts you should be careful to eat on Shabbos.
This is not.
You should be careful. Toiv lahachmer. Why do you say toiv lahachmer? Because he said that for two reasons. So there's a shaila boirer that comes up with a shaila muksa. Again, not me ikar hadin. Toiv lahachmer. Why? Because he said when you have the nuts here and you open up the nuts, you're going to have it's very hard to avoid that you're going to maybe push away some of the shells to get to the nuts. If you push away the shells or you pull it away,
That would be orin, right?
or soilus me'eichel. So that would be a problem. While it's still attached, like the pistachios, there's no problem. A buyer removing it from here, like a banana and an egg, you're allowed to. You have this is the way how you eat it. Derech achila. So you could open it up, samach to the soda, right before you're going to eat. However, the problem is that if there's a pile in front of you, then you're going to. It's very instinctively that you might just remove some shells to get to your oichel. So you could be over on buyer deraisa. Furthermore, even if they're not right next to each other, a little separate. But when the shells are fully separate from the nuts, they become muksa
So
because you can't do anything with
by
it.
the way,
You're going to throw it out. It's also very hard to avoid to be metaltal. So if he says better not to eat nuts and shots.
And throwing it out.
Ones that are not, but it's not me'ikar hadin. And after gedenk is me'ikar hadin. Tell you not to do it because it's hard to be zayir from it. Very hard to stay away from Bayer and Muksa when it comes to eating them.
Throwing out the shells is an issue at the end of the meal when you want to throw everything out. Right?
Yeah, it could be a problem. Unless you need the place and it could become a graf shari'i. It's called if something is moos beinechel and it's moos and disgusting and you don't want it there, or hetaden, you can remove it away.
Or what I see some people will do is that they'll have a disposable tablecloth. They'll keep the shells in the tablecloth and they'll just wrap up the whole tablecloth with all the garbage so they don't have to collect the shells or push them aside.
Better not to. Better not nuts which are in the shells. Just because of
You can't be able to Shabbos.
you're allowed to eat it on Shabbos. Just ta'iv lahachmir because you might come to Bayer and Muksa. He doesn't say it's asr.
Like if you're going to go and eat a little beer, you buy that today to eat, you're allowed to eat on Shabbos.
If you take a look inside, it says, he says in Taf Kuf Gimel, Toiv lemnoya ilech lagoyden lozim b'Shabbos. It's better, best. Page Taf Kuf Gimel. This is the famous Alter Rebbe where he cautioned against eating the nuts. Taf Kuf Gimel. Namash a few pages before the ending of the Sefer. Toiv lemnoya milech lagoyden lozim b'Shabbos elim kein hitzim mikilpasim el Shabbos. Kini af shebaoid apri shapri munach bekupasi kule mexasi mutal hasik basi biyadre eme b'shem be'ev says meichel. That's the way you eat it. Mikomak la acha shehusra klipa u'menachas is a chatichas klipa bein chatichas priya bein hashlemim. Mesidusham, you take that shell away. Chayiv chatas skila mishum be'ev says meichel. What should you do? Well, you better have pri meha klipas. Well, you give a klipas. God, don't touch the klipas. That's hard to avoid. Further issue, even the shells are separated from the nuts, so there's no buyer because they're not the separate piles. You're now to move that to clippus. Clippus not a buyer. It's hard to be cautious with all this. If he says toiv, not a chiyuv.
You're not Israel, but better not.
Yeah, not to.
Chabad doesn't eat all this stuff.
It's better not to. We have a million of say.
Those are interesting. Thank you.
We'll put the out from there.
You should have to
Sorry.
So one solution would be if you have to have nuts on Shabbos, the concern to peel all the nuts,
That's how you
all the
feel
nuts before Shabbos.
But it's only on the outer green.
Yes, locally thought.
Not on these
No,
shells.
the issue is the shells.
Yeah. Like you say.
Yeah, I mean, you get rid of the cleats. Time for push the ball.
You can break it. Even that sheet of holes that you could break it.
Yeah,
Break open the green. The green, the first sheet of holes, you're allowed to take off the green part. Second sheet of holes, you're not allowed to do it to your fingertips, the green part, but you can break it.
You should know that this
Breaking it is not emphatic.
when the echoes is ready to eat, the green already fall out. First, it's fall out. We still have a drink.
How about using an
We have a minion?
on Shabbos?
Yeah, exactly.
Rabbi, you mentioned breaking it. Is using a nut cracker permitted on Shabbos?